Hello, I'm Mark Lawson, president of the ECS Publishing Group, and I am pleased to have a chance to visit with composer Kyle Pederson about three new pieces that had just been released in the Morningstar catalog. And these three new pieces are Micah Blues, God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen, and When Christmas Morn Is Dawning. So, Kyle, welcome.
Always good to be with you, Mark.
I think the thing that strikes me about these three pieces are just how different they are from each other. Just such a wide style of writing. Talk about that a little bit, and we'll start with Micah Blues. Tell us about that piece.
Well, I've always loved the blues, loved playing it as a kid, and my thought is that there should be more choral pieces that are set in the blues tradition. Tom Trenny approached me. This would have been pre-pandemic, and he said, "Kyle, I'd love to have you write a piece for my church choir." And I said, "Any particular style or text?" He said, "Sky's the limit. What moves you?" And I took that as free permission to run. And I had been noodling on this text, the classic Micah 6:8 text about doing justice, walking humbly, loving kindness. And I thought, there's lots of settings of that, but there aren't any blues settings. And I knew that some churches and schools would love to have a chance to sort of dig into that in a different way, set in a different way. So off we went.
That's great. That's great. Well, I know Tom's used it a couple of different ways. He's used it with a small group and he's used it with a larger group. How do you see this piece functioning best?
Well, I tell you, Tom's choir and a small group can sing anything. They both sounded incredible. If you have big forces to bring to bear, outstanding. But it also works really well as a small select ensemble. And I think that some groups could, some college choirs at churches have like a Vespers service or sort of a special night, even like a blues service or something. This would fit in perfectly to that. I think about, this text, doing justice, walking humbly, could fit basically anywhere, any given Sunday, that text could find resonance. And I think too, one of my favorite lines in the text is this idea of let others be the clanging cymbal, let others have their boast or brag, but as for me, help me to walk humbly and kindly with thee. And I just think about how in the world today, so much clanging cymbals, so much boasting, so much bragging, wouldn't we all be a little bit better off if we were to lean into this idea of walking with some humility? So I think that textually, it could find resonance really in any sort of service or even concert setting. And musically, if you had a saxophonist, a bass player, and a pianist who likes to dig in, this piece would be absolutely perfect.
Yeah. Well, then there's two new Christmas pieces. The first one I'm going to talk about is this When Christmas Morn Is Dawning, which is just a beautiful, beautiful setting. What inspired that piece?
My high school choir director, Dione Pederson Belling, who I had in Sioux Falls, South Dakota a few years ago, now is the director of a community choir, a really good community choir here in the Twin Cities. And she reached out and she said, "I'd love to set this Christmas hymn for my tenors and basses in her choir." And she said, "Are you interested?" And I said, of course I'm interested. Dug into the hymn and found out that it's fairly, it's lesser known. I didn't really know it very well. Turns out that both two traditions claim it. The Swedish people and the German people claim it as their own. And it's lovely. So I'm not surprised that more would claim ownership. And I had such a nice time setting it for tenors and basses that I thought, well, let's just keep going. And so I ended up setting it for sopranos and altos, and then also for SATB. Like I do with several types of hymns, I adapted the text a little bit to try to bring some relevance and timeliness into today's setting. Set it for piano with optional clarinet, although there have been some folks who have done it with I think, violin or flute as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The clarinet adds a wonderful texture to the piece. And then, of course, I think you must have had a lot of fun writing this setting of God Rest You Merry Gentlemen, which is very high energy and kind of jazz style with the traditional melody. Talk about that one.
Well, kind of like there needs to be more blues settings for choirs. There's lots of Christmas carols and Christmas hymns that are lush and lovely. There's lots that are majestic and grand, but there aren't too many that are just flat out fun, where choirs can just dig in and get the congregation moving, tapping their toes, smiling. And I've always heard God Rest You Merry Gentlemen as this hymn or this carol that's ripe to do something with, like just to really dig in. And so I thought, let's go for it. And so it's a sort of a cross between jazz and blues and pop and rock. And the recording is just outstanding. We've got an optional fiddle part, kind of a blues fiddle, piano, drums, bass, and it's a wailing soloist. And I think the whole thing is less than 3 minutes. So it's a great way to kick off something or to finish something off and get the congregation or the audience really, really engaged.
Well, thanks for writing both of these pieces, and I encourage everyone to take a look at these and hope that they will enjoy them. Thanks for this. Great work.
Thank you, Mark. Always a pleasure.
Thanks for joining us.